fundraising arm has now cut him off. But he is not backing down. Here he is a short time ago. See what you think about this with Sean Hannity.
It never happened, and I don't even like hearing it because it never happened, and they're doing this a month away, 4 weeks away, after 40 years in public service. I've run 5 successful campaigns, statewide campaigns, 3 in the county. This has never been brought up. They're bringing it up because it's political. It's a direct attack on this campaign, and it involves a 14-year-old girl, which I would have never had any contact with. This is a completely manufactured story meant to defraud this campaign. And they're losing. They're 11 points behind. They don't like my acknowledgement that there is a God, and that we've refused to debate them because of their very liberal stance on transgenderism and transgenderism in the military and in bathrooms. They're desperate. If you abuse a 14-year-old, you shouldn't be a Senate candidate. I agree with that. But I did not do that.
You don't recall ever dating any girl that young when you were that old?
I've said no.
And you think that's inappropriate, too? That's what you're saying?
Inappropriate, yes.
So there are calls, as I mentioned, for him to step down, and they are growing on both sides of the aisle tonight. Here now, Guy Benson, townhall.com, political editor and Fox News contributor, and political commentator Dr. Wendy Assefu. Welcome to both of you. So, you know, there are political questions here. There are ethical questions here. But the bottom line is, will he be able to stay in this race, Guy, and should he?
Well, I think the first question will come down to a few things. First of all, they're going to poll this stuff over the weekend. Does it settle down at all for them? They're going to keep a close eye on public opinion. Will there be more accusers coming out, continuing the drumbeat? And also, one of the things that Roy Moore said in that interview with Sean Hannity was that he never even met the woman making the most serious allegation about him involving molestation when she was 14 and he was 32. He said, I never met her. If there's additional evidence that comes out disproving that claim, I really do think he's finished. And Martha, one other point, listening to that interview with Sean, who asked some really tough questions, he said, did you ever date anyone in their teens when you were that age? And to my ears, Roy Moore did not say no. He sort of hedged and said that would not be normal behavior for me. It was not a clear, if I'm asked, have you ever been on a date as a 32-year-old with a high school student? The answer is definitely not, and I did not hear that.
It is. You know, obviously, Wendy, there's a lot of Republicans that are calling for him to step aside. It's not been a great week for Steve Bannon, who had a tough night on Tuesday night, and now this is the candidate that he's backed. He's standing by him tonight. In fact, he's speaking in Charleston this evening, and we're going to wait for comments from Steve Bannon. We expect to get those shortly. What do you think?
You know, in this climate where sexual allegations have run rampant like wildfire from Harvey Weinstein to Louis C.K., it has really been disappointing the way that some members of the GOP has responded to this. It has been a slap in the face to every person who has ever been sexually harassed and almost a knuckle sandwich to anyone who's ever mustered enough strength to come out and say, you know what, this is what has happened to me. But let us be clear. If Moore wins the election in December, he will be the greatest thorn in the side of the GOP and the greatest gift to the Democrats. And for some people who are saying that this was politically motivated, there have been some rumblings that one of the accusers was actually a sign language interpreter for the Clinton campaign. Well, another one of the accusers is actually a lifelong Republican and voted for Trump in 2016. So let's not make this political. Let us make sure that these allegations are actually factual. And if so, then Moore does need to step aside, because this is not going to look good for him. It's not going to look good for his party. And with 2018 midterms coming up, this will not look good for a lot of people.
I mean, it has become political. Obviously, there have been people who have been accused of sexual assault going all the way up to the presidency at one point, as we all remember. So, I mean, this is not something that is unique to any party.
No.
But Steve Bannon claims, Guy, that this is, you know, sort of a big hatchet job by the Washington Post and Jeff Bezos. You know, really, it's just going to come down to what the people in Alabama believe. And as was pointed out, they recently ousted a governor for sexual indiscretion. So they are, you know, this is something that they're familiar with and they're not afraid to do.
Well, Martha, there's only a small handful of people in the world who know the actual truth, who have firsthand knowledge of what happened. This was decades ago. The question that voters have to make for themselves is, who is credible here? Are these 4 women who say they did not know each other, did not seek out the press, did not seek out the limelight? Are they credible? Are the people that they told contemporaneously that they've corroborated those conversations, are they credible, or are these denials, some of them hedged, some of them emphatic, by Roy Moore, more credible? That's what voters have to decide for themselves. I know where I come down. I do think that these women, I don't know if he's guilty or not. I don't know if he did these things or not. At least to me, these are credible, serious allegations, just like I have believed that there were serious, credible allegations against Bill Clinton on the other side of the aisle. And the Democrats, if they want to get into high dudgeon about Roy Moore, that's fine. They have some issues on their own side, too.
Yeah, but the people get to vote, and they get to listen to what he said and decide for themselves whether or not they believe him or whether they believe these